Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone here in the first forum for foreigners living in Józsefváros. I am Vera Merker. I am a community organizer in the Office of Community Participation, and this is my first moderation, so please be gentle with me. And I would like to welcome you here, and I am really grateful that all of you came here. And first of all, I just want to say some words about what we're going to have, what the program is. First, we're going to listen to Tessa Udvarhelyi giving a short presentation about how the municipality works, what we can do to help foreigners living here, and services available here for foreigners. And then we're going to hear a short presentation from Daniel Udvardi, Radai, sorry. Okay, it's okay. Okay, he is the head of the office, he is the deputy mayor of Józsefváros, responsible for urban development. The whole forum is live streamed, and we are also gonna take a note. So please be sure that your name will be there, and and you could be shown in the forum. Also, we have a national TV here, but we asked them to only show us and not the audience. So you're not gonna be in the national television. Maybe your head will be in it, but you're not gonna be there. And after the first two presentations, we're gonna give you about 1 hour to hear your questions, and not just your questions, but also your notes on how anything works and like everything that you want to share with us. So yes, and that's it. And first we're gonna listen to Tessa. She's gonna give us a short presentation about how the municipality works. And thanks for the patience.
Okay, hello everybody. So my name is Tessa Udvarhelyi, and I'm the head of the Office of Community Participation in this municipality. It's called Józsefváros, or the 8th district. I'm sure you know it since you live here. And I'm very, very happy that so many of you came today. And it will be my role today to introduce you to what a local government is, how it works, and what kinds of things it's doing. And I will highlight some of the things that we are trying to do for non-Hungarians living here. And at the end of my presentation, I will also give you a small homework. Okay, so when I say municipality, I mean local government. I just wanted to make sure that these two things are the same thing, and we will use them interchangeably, the two words. So what is a municipality? So when most people think about a local government or a municipality, at least in Hungary, the first thing that comes to their mind is bureaucracy, or something where you try to get something done and it never happens. And there are a lot of papers, and nobody knows what to do, and you are completely lost in the jungle. We are trying to change this perception of municipalities in Hungary by creating a municipality here in the 8th district that, of course, there is always bureaucracy, but we are trying to make it accessible to everybody. And this is why, this is one of the reasons why we created the office where I work. It's called the Office of Community Participation. And it's the only, I wouldn't say the only, but it was the first office of its kind in Hungary. And now there are a few other municipalities that have offices like this. And we are trying to create a very different kind of municipality. And I try to represent this with this image where we are standing in a circle and having a discussion, instead of the previous image where you are lost in the bureaucracy and you have no idea where you are going. Our office is responsible for many, many things, but mostly our main job is to to change the municipality in a way that responds to the needs of local people, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their citizenship. So we work a lot with our own colleagues in the municipality, and we are trying to create processes and situations where the staff of the municipality gets to meet local people and doesn't only pay attention to paperwork, but also to actual living human beings. On the other hand, we are also trying to change the residents of this district so that they are not afraid of the local government. Also, they are not afraid to organize, to stand up for what they deserve, to get what they need, and to make their voices heard. So we are a little bit like I don't know, a revolutionary office within a bureaucracy, trying to make revolution within the building and also among the people who live in this district. So if you have any comments or questions or critiques about the municipality, we are the place to go, and we will try to fight with you together to change things if you don't like them. One thing that I really would like to highlight is that there are a lot of things available in English about our municipality. We have a website which has an English language version, and I just made a screenshot of our website, and on the top right hand corner you can see an English flag and also a Google Translate icon. On the English icon or tab, we translate texts in a better quality than what Google Translate does. So under the English tab, you can find quality translations, and under the Google Translate tab, you can find the Google Translate, which is, well, you know, the quality. It's sometimes good, sometimes not so good, but that means that in the Google Translate, everything is available, and it's available in a lot of languages. In the English version, it's a little bit fewer things, but better quality. So I just wanted to highlight, this is a screenshot probably from yesterday. So these are the parts of our English language website. There is a list of municipal services. There are things about how you can participate in local issues, news in the districts and it has events and programs. So you can find a lot of things, and we update this almost every day. Volunteers and interns are helping us to translate this website. So there is a lot of volunteer work in this. And you can see the address of our website, józsefváros.hu. Please check it out. Okay, so what is the local government? This is a very short crash course on what the local government is. So in Hungary, there is one national government, which is basically the executive branch of the parliament. So we have a parliament, which is on Kossuth tér, and there's a national government, and the national government is formed by the party that wins the election in the national elections. But then there are also local governments, and the local governments all have a mayor and their local assemblies, and there are 3,200 local governments in Hungary. So it's a very, very decentralized system. Every town, every village has its own local government. And what's important is that Budapest is a special place because it has 24 local governments. There is one local government for the whole of Budapest, and there are 23 local governments for the 23 districts. And you live in the 8th district, and there are 22 other local governments, and all of these local governments in the districts have their own mayor and have their own assemblies, and there are a lot of things that they are doing autonomously, independently of the national government. But of course there are a lot of things that are regulated by the national government, so it's a very complicated system. If you live in the 8th district, you are ruled by the national government, you are ruled by the government of Budapest, and you are ruled by the government of Józsefváros. So there are 3 levels of government over your head. You will tell us what you think about this, if you like this very complicated system. And I just wanted to, well, anyway. So this is, I wanted to just share with you how, so if you live in Budapest, you will mostly experience the things provided either by the municipality of Budapest or by the municipality of the 8th district. And these are very different things. And on this picture, I'm showing you a few things that the Budapest local government is providing you. So for example, public transportation is the responsibility of the mayor of Budapest and the local government of Budapest. Water too. So the fact that water comes from your tap, that's Budapest responsibility. Homeless shelters are also the responsibility of the government of Budapest. Waste management, so the fact that somebody takes away your garbage. Parks, not all the parks, but the major parks are all maintained by the municipality of Budapest. This is, for example, Margit-sziget. And also cemeteries are maintained by the municipality of Budapest. And then there are 1,000 other things that the municipality of Budapest is providing, but I just wanted to show you a few. And I think this is interesting because as you are walking down the street, you have no idea who is providing the pavement, who is cleaning the pavement, who is taking away the garbage, why is there a bus stop, why is there not a bus stop, what's happening. And these are all these all somehow belong to either the municipality of Budapest or us, the municipality of Józsefváros. And now I'm going to show you the things that our local government, the municipality of Józsefváros, are responsible for. There are many other things, but I highlighted a few. So the local parks are maintained by us. So for example, Margit-sziget, Margaret Island, is a huge park maintained by Budapest, but for example, I don't know, this park here, Kálvária tér, it's maintained by the local government. So smaller things are managed by us, bigger things, more or less, the rule is not that clear, but kindergartens, these all belong to the local government, to the municipality of Józsefváros. Also social assistance and support. So if somebody's poor and they need money, or if somebody is has social problems or family problems or domestic violence issues or issues with children, that belongs to the local government, to the government of Józsefváros. This is, for example, I don't know if you know it, it's a community laundry provided by the local government where you can wash your clothes really cheap. We also provide street cleaning, and this is a very complicated and funny issue because different parts of different streets are cleaned by different local governments. I will not explain this to you, but if you walk down the street, you can never know if it was not cleaned by us or not cleaned by the Budapest municipality or cleaned in a very good case. But so it's a tricky situation, but it's definitely residents who throw away the garbage. So if you don't throw away the garbage, then we won't have to clean it up. Then there is also basic health care. I don't know if you know this. This is the Szent Kozma Health Center of Józsefváros. This is the basic healthcare provider of people living here. It's not a hospital, but it's a, I don't know what they call it, like a walk-in kind of health center. And our local government is also responsible for parking regulations and things like this. So if you want a parking permit, you will have to apply for it with our municipality. And there are many more things, but these are just a few things. So this is just to show you that there is a very complicated web of responsibilities and competencies among the different municipalities in this city too. So now I would like to tell you a few things that you can do to participate in local life here in the 8th district. I don't know if you know this, but we have we call it Józsefváros Smart City app. You can download it on your phone. And I made a mistake because I didn't write it here, that it's called Józsefváros Smart City app, but it's an app and it's available in English too. And if you, for example, see a problem in public space, you can report it. You just take a picture and you just send it in and you tell us in 2 words what the problem is, and then we will get it and we will fix it. And the best thing about it is that you can, it's all transparent because you can see all the reports made by other people too, and all the people will see the responses to your reports on the app. So please use the app. It's very, very useful for us because we get live information from our residents about the problems in our public spaces. Then you can also vote in the elections. Of course, not all foreigners living in Hungary can vote. In the national elections, foreigners can't vote, but in the local elections, a lot of foreigners can vote. For example, European Union citizens have the right to vote in the local elections. Refugees have the right to vote in the elections. People with so-called immigrant or settled status have the right to vote in the local elections. So actually, you live in this district and you are just as part of this district as anybody else, and you can vote for who is going to run this district. And just for your information, the next local elections are on June 9th next year, on the same day as the European Union elections. And of course, if you are EU citizens, this year. Yes, it's already this year. Yes, sorry, it's this year, June 9th this year. So you can vote for the mayor and the local assembly, and you can vote for the European Union. Yes. There is also what we call participatory budgeting. How many of you have heard about this participatory budgeting? A few. Cool. So what this means is that every year the local government sets aside a certain amount of money from its own budget, and the residents of the district can decide how the municipality will spend that money. And right now we are in what we call the idea phase of this participatory budgeting, which means that you can submit your ideas about what you think the municipality should spend its money on. And in a few months there will be a voting phase, and you can also vote on the ideas that people submitted. So people submit ideas about what we should do with the money, and then people vote on the ideas, and then the municipality implements it. And this is the third year that this is going. So we have already implemented or completed a lot of things that people wanted. And I would really like to encourage you to participate in participatory budgeting. You don't have to be a Hungarian citizen. You don't even have to have an official address in Józsefváros. You just have to live here. So we ask you to certify with your, not signature, but with your declaration that you are actually a member of our community, and then you can submit ideas and also vote. Then there is something that may also be interesting for foreigners living here, which is the Neighborhood Fest. This is a call for applications. If you would like to organize a small community event with people who live in your neighborhood, or your friends, or other foreigners, or a community that you are a part of, you can apply with an idea. And if we like your idea, we will give you a little bit of money to organize it. So you can organize picnics or community programs, or, I don't know, hikes or family things. The most important thing is that it can't be private. It has to be community. It has to be public things. And this is also open today, and the deadline is?
The 10th of February.
So
11th, sorry.
So you can apply for this opportunity until February 10th.
And just a little thing that we have, so you can put down your ideas here today as well. Like, there are volunteers here in the same pullover as I am for the participatory, and you can just ask them to help you if you need that. And yeah, so you can put down your ideas today as well.
Okay, there is also an English newsletter. She thinks English language newsletter is not the right way, so English newsletter. So our municipality has a lot of different newsletters for dog owners, for civil society organizations, general newsletter, and there is also an English newsletter. So if you would like to get news about what's happening in the district, you can sign up for a newsletter, and we send it about once a month, and we include everything in English, so you can be up to date about what's happening. And now this is the time for your, I don't know how I'm doing with time. Okay. So now I would like to give you your homework, which is that one of the other things that we do a lot in this municipality is we create booklets. We have a lot of different information booklets, which we write in very easy, accessible language, because also in Hungary, bureaucracies use very complicated language, so we basically do Hungarian to Hungarian translation for the Hungarians living here to understand what's happening. And now we created our first English language booklet, and we would like to ask for your input. We made copies of this, and this is not yet nice, so it's not with nice graphics and things like this. It's just a Word document, and we would like you to take it and read it, and please let us know what's missing, what other kind of information would you need. Did you find any mistakes in it, or anything that you would like to give us comments about? So so please take one. It's the same thing, just with smaller letters or bigger letters. So so we are very happy if you give us feedback, and we will finalize it when we get your feedback. You can give us the feedback here, or you can write us an email, and we are very interested in what you. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, I think this is all I wanted to say, and then I will be open to questions.
Thank you, Tessa. And now we're gonna listen to Daniel Radai. He is the deputy mayor of urban development of Józsefváros. And he's also going to give us a short presentations. And afterwards, we will listen to your questions, opinions, and suggestions. And also, because we are streamed online, we are waiting for questions and suggestions from the online audience as well. So, yes. Yeah, and please comment below the video if you have some questions, and our colleagues will help me to answer it. Thank you.
Good evening once again. It's a huge pleasure to have you all here, since it's the first time. And it's also my first time to actually present our efforts to an international audience, who are eventually a local audience. So it's an absolute privilege and honor to be here with you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I have a comprehensive presentation for you, so it's gonna be long. It's going to be long by illustrations because we wanted to give you the full picture. On the other hand, it won't be like an actual presentation, more just like an illustration of this story. If there are 3 words with which I would describe our efforts, those would be trying to achieve more affordable housing, even if it's so hard, make more livable spaces all around, and try to do it in an inclusive way, participatory way, as much as possible. And if I had to take down our actual spaces, I got 4 words here. That's climate-proof, inclusive, sustainable, and resilient. So it reflects also on our responsibility to get to the future together in a sustainable way, because, as you know from your surroundings and neighborhoods, we are a very highly dense area of Budapest. 10,000 residents per square kilometer is a very high density in any European context. And together with that, this district is pretty much one of the most diverse areas in the entire country, both spatially and socially. And we firmly believe that all interventions that we do have to go to each areas, and making any special specialization of each areas. And spaces that we inherited and we play with are those that not necessarily cater for everyone, for example, in the street, and we wanted to make them a lot more democratic. For example, by an English urban planner's healthy streets guidelines that is about practically making the space more democratic and more welcome for everyone with all aspects. A small image from Wuppertal, Germany, that's guiding our efforts. This district is still pretty much the most rapidly changing environment of Budapest, with plenty of constructions on development sites and also plenty of constructions on public spaces. Some of them just got finished, and some of them we just started. So this is an ongoing process, but we firmly believe that this renewal is important to get to a sustainable environment. And this is just interventions on public spaces, very different sets from actual constructions to just simply putting trees on a street, just like you can see it on Lujza here outside. Sometimes we work with traffic mitigation, sometimes we make a pocket garden in a corner, depending on what the spaces and the communities locally demand. We take inspiration from some of the best cities in Europe, be that pedestrianization, community building, share spaces together, school spaces, and overall safe public spaces. Some of the initiatives that we do, you can consider them a bit challenging and also somewhat status quo breaking, if I may. But we believe that just because something hasn't been done, it doesn't mean it can't be done. So we are pushing the boundaries. And for example, this 3-level governance that Tessa mentioned, I mean, let's admit the fact that sometimes we ourselves don't really know what exactly the legal frameworks are for a particular question. So we can't even imagine how much residents has to, and particularly foreign residents, has to fight for that. We have a mobility carta that since 2021 guides us towards more pedestrian-friendly urban spaces. And we actually started in 2020, right when COVID hit, in front of our building. This is the municipality, the town hall, where previously there was not even space to wait outside. And once our customers and clients had to stay outside of the building, we needed to make sure that there was space for that. But this was kind of like a good start to start all the changes on yourself, and we tried to show the example by that. So the parking lane just changed from this 45 angle to parallel one, making the sidewalk wider. Ever since then, we are through a couple of large public space developments. Everybody knows about Blaha Lujza Square, also Déri Miksa utca, Csarnok district, Csarnok quarters, Main Street, where it was the first example where we really tried to show the difference and the approach between targeting these spaces to a different audience and user group. Ever since then, we are trying to show different examples on different locations, be those main streets or just residential street, that they can cater for difference. And by now, we have about 10 public spaces completely renovated, including squares that are just finished recently, or for example, socialist housing blocks where the public spaces were abandoned for 50 years. We believe that all these spaces deserve and have the right for transition and for a more climate-proof outcome. We are not finished at all. We keep going with new designs. Currently implemented designs, and even right now, there are 4 public space designs on participatory feedback, on consultation. So if you take a look at our website, you can see about Danko utca, about Német utca, about Békési and Sejber Sándor utca, and soon the outer part of Práter utca on the other side of Baros. We find opportunities in locations when nobody else before, in more abandoned areas that were previously practically an informal parking space. These become new play sites, children-friendly children spaces. For example, there's Második János Pál pápa tér, the Pope Square, where obviously the municipality will not have the foundation and the financial resources to make a complete renewal, but by step, we can make a change. The participatory budget was a big hand in that as well. First, we are making it much more accessible particularly for dogs, by making it an integrative park where everybody can more legally oriented use the park. Probably few of you know, particularly who sometimes walk dogs in the park, that right now officially it's not allowed to actually walk a dog without a leash. But we'll make this completely open for everyone in an integrative manner. So practically those who just want to walk their dogs, they don't actually commit a slight small crime. This is Lujza utca, just right outside in the summer when we started planting the trees. Long process has gone till we actually can see the outcome of that. We are working with community gardens, block rehabilitations with new spaces, and we are trying to show alternatives for mobility, which in district scale is not very common. Excuse me for my leftover Hungarian word. But there's a new trolley line as well from Kalvária Square going to Tisztviselőtelep and to Népliget Metro. So the outer part as well, we are trying to make it accessible by public transport. Baros utca bicycle lane from 2020. It was always a question why there's no bike lane on Baros utca, but we thought at first that it had to be done. The mobility points, if somebody uses bikes or, for example, the sharing scooters, now can park much more comfortably and freely around the district. And back in 2020, we already launched some new directions, saying that there are a couple of spaces that have much more to offer, and right now they do. And I will show a different image as well, that in what kind of change in space and in community life it's possible to achieve in 2.5 years, which is relatively short time in urban development time span. So a lot more constructions, particularly greening and more community spaces, sometimes also in tactical manners that we do, so we don't necessarily have to use stones and permanent infrastructure to actually make a change and new ideas in a space. Sorry, the slides are a bit slower. And the step-by-step approach, which we already started in Népszínház utca with these junctions, we want to be very protective with Népszínház utca. Many people talk about, oh, let's have it pedestrian tomorrow, which would of course create many public conflicts. But we also want to protect all community life and the different services in Népszínház utca. So really go with a gradient approach. And this is also shown in 32-esek tere, one of the main centers of Józsefváros, where this summer we started with an exploratory experiment, having a long-term vision, but starting on very small-scale interventions just by turning the space more towards community life. Open spaces, one of our main motivations in the beginning was to open these spaces more for community life that the previous decade did not really facilitate and help. And of course, the pandemic didn't help that in the first few years. And we are really glad that that since then, and since we are much more freely able to enjoy our shared life, these spaces could turn to be a good proof that this is possible. And well, sometimes we even have bottom-up political statements, just as you can see in the bottom in some of these spaces, which is a great feedback because it means that the community takes over these spaces. We already put there the yellow buckets. The blue flags are not our initiative. And so our public spaces are getting more life. Of course, not in 0 degrees and this nasty rain outside, but we are looking forward to have the spring. For example, the community events and the neighborhood parties that Tessa mentioned. We are having images, some of that. This is 32-esek tere in the summer. I believe much more friendly atmosphere. We can show that having just cars around. From the participatory budget again, we have the new micro-parks, parklets in the international language, where parking spots become community spaces, and we keep going with our temporary tactical urban changes. For example, including the traffic mitigation scheme that if you look around the streets in the Magdalena Quarter, you see already some of these interventions that in the fall, last fall happened, and our number proved them correct. Even if we might as well have to do a small corrections and adjustments to make it even more efficient. Many cars that just travel through Józsefváros and this particular district have not disappeared, which means, for example, air quality, the noise level is much better in these streets. And the foundation of all these changes is, of course, the parking scheme, because every time we talk about the spaces and transformations, the first question is, okay, what about the parking spots? And the fact that for a year now, it's no longer possible that the municipality provides 100% support for residents parking. Every resident now has to contribute a smaller fee towards the resident parking. The numbers and the demand and the pressure on the permits versus the available parking spots have decreased by 25%, which means that most of the streets now have a bit of air, and with that bit of air, some of these purple streets become much greener, and once these streets become much greener in terms of pressure, then some sidewalks might as well allow that from cars in some streets, people can also appear. And of course, in this way, streetscapes they vary differently. And the last few years, with all these initiatives and this structure, when we managed to show that that many car-oriented spaces can cater much more for people. And this is what I wanted to show and mentioned in Népszínház utca before, that spots that were just a dream before to maybe as well be able to sit down in a small square, then it might as well be possible. Some of you might as well actually have sat already there. That's 2.5 years. That in urban development time frame, that's like from today to tomorrow. So thanks for everyone who contributed to that, and so we can keep going with school streets, so then children can take part even more. And all in all of this is because we think the city is not a problem, even though so many people would like to address that. We think city is solution, and it's our shared solution. And these are the solutions that we can create a stronger community as well, so that, as Tessa mentioned, changing a little bit ourselves, you will as well demand these changes even more. This is our direction. I hope you can stay part, to be active part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now it's time for you to ask questions and give us your opinions and demands even. Please do. The way we're going to do it is that we're going to listen to 3 questions, and then we're going to ask Tessa and Dani to respond, and then we're going to go on. And I have my colleague there. Chenga, please put. She's gonna give you the mic, so wait for the mic, please, and only ask the questions in the mics, and then it will be streamed as well. So it's important for this online audience to understand as well. And if we have questions online, then we're gonna have a small session at the end. I'm gonna read out the questions, and you're gonna answer to the questions as well. So please raise your hands if you have questions. Okay. Okay, so.
This is great. So I love living in Józsefváros, and I think because of the community spirit that you're creating and the diversity. So first question is, what are you doing to prevent displacement, gentrification, given this energy? Because we know it can be a unintended consequence of this kind of energy. Second, I bike a lot, and there's just a lot of transitions that are dangerous. So that's like a big pain point, and I wonder whether there's is there a more systematic looking at how people get from one place to the other safely? Because there's some places that are basically impossible to get through. And then third, the hardest part for me of living here is that in the spring my asthma just goes crazy. So I think anything that you're doing to continue to get cars off the street and trees up, just that there's a constituency for that. So don't just think that it's the constituency for drivers, because it's one of the hardest parts of living here, at least for me. So those are my questions, points.
First of all, I'm really impressed. Thank you so much for this presentation. I didn't expect all of this. It's really nice. It makes me love living here more. And you already asked one of my questions as well about the gentrification. And I was also wondering, how do you feel about the trust of the people living here into to the municipality, to the generally my perception is that a lot of people don't trust the government. So how do you kind of rebuild that trust in the local government and the municipality here? Because I can imagine that's a big part in creating those community participation initiatives. And I was wondering, I saw a couple of initiatives like community gardens and things like that. Have you thought of ways in how we can bridge the non-Hungarians, like the foreigners, also within that? Because I feel like there's still some sort of segregation between groups. For now, that's it.
Hi, so thank you very much for organizing this. It is very impressive of how you really try to engage non-Hungarians living here. So my question is regarding the healthcare, because I think even for Hungarians, it's very difficult to access public healthcare. So what kind of policies or initiatives are you trying to pursue in order to make the public healthcare in the 8th district more inclusive for foreigners. Like, for example, the language barrier. I think that's one problem that is preventing non-Hungarians to use public healthcare system. Thank you.
Thank you. So now we're gonna listen to your answers. The first question was how to prevent Józsefváros from gentrification.
Yeah, to be honest, we didn't expect 9 questions out of the first 3, so we'll try do our best to
I
answer
took
and
notes, so I'm gonna help.
where I will be helping. So first of all, it's a huge issue and everybody's aware of it, unless you, of course, live in a cave. But it's a major issue, and the tricky part of it that there's kind of there's a natural gentrification process, and there's of course a generated one. We are more kind of involved in the generated one, and some of the images I showed, those are facilitators, which we are very much aware of. That's why I actually deliberately emphasize Népszínház utca. Because, for example, at Déri Miksa, we kind of let it go, if I may say that. The process was already so far. We felt that, for example, when we made a shop competition, so to open new different shops and services in the municipality spaces on the streets, we actually didn't really hold it back or regulated it towards that aspect, because we thought it's a process that's already going to such a level. On the other hand, for example, in Népszínház utca, we deliberately try to work with the local stakeholders, strengthen them to work together with each other. The next stage will be the residents. So not just like, okay, if we just go there, pave the street, make it pedestrian, make it green, then that's like an ultimate step towards destroying the street and that street life in about 2 years, which we are not gonna. So that's why we are so reserved with that. There are some other areas where we already kind of like have to give up on that. The other aspect is, of course, housing. This municipality gave away a hell lot of apartments in the last couple of decades, particularly with the privatization in the post-socialist era. So right now we try to keep as many as possible. We are putting a huge budget, about 8 million euros, I would say, in this term, to renovate our buildings. Social apartments, the municipality-owned buildings, the social apartments. We are having continuously new applications towards these apartments, and of course that's not enough. And we know how the Budapest real estate world looks like, and how the rent prices are increasing. That's crazy. I would say we try everything in our power to do right now. It's potentially not enough, and the way the numbers look like, it's actually not enough. But that's as far right now as our reach goes. If you have any ideas, always feel welcome to share what we can do in some areas.
Next.
I don't know if that's would like to.
Okay. Next questions about the bike.
The cycling. Well, first of all, if you particularly find a spot that you are really dissatisfied with, please let us know with various sources. I really hope that we know most of these, and we are already addressing them. We are also working on the designs. We just a few weeks ago we got a permit to make every residential street opposite bicycle friendly, so the opposite direction bikes can access to. There's an overall structure like Baros utca. Népszínház is unfortunately behind, because then it would be such an infrastructural investment. Then, as previously mentioned, that's a whole other story. Trying to make the streets all 30 km/h, just like in the example cities. This is how we address it. But whenever you feel that there's a particular gap, please let us know. Right now we have a couple of designs that are before implementation in terms of road safety. We are ahead of decisions for the spring and for the year, how they will be implemented. And yeah, the asthma, to be frank, I personally share that too. And I actually think that half of this room shares it too. That's why we launched this tree planting program, that on streets that we are not making a complete wall-to-wall entire section renovation, we are still planting trees. Unfortunately, the process behind this is crazy because this is road construction. So all the permitting and the design has to go through almost a similar process than actually renovating the street, which means it's just lower. But there are many more streets to come in this initiative as well. Unfortunately, where the pipes and the utilities are not allowing tree planting, then it's a bit more complex story, because then we need an actual full renovation to be able to address that. If I look at how the spaces transform, I guess we are not quick enough, particularly with the trees. If I look at how, given all the circumstances of the past few years, we managed to do this, I would say it's at least showing the possibility and the potential, and I hope it actually raises everybody's willingness and demand that you guys can do it, so do it, please do it more. And we actually, because to be honest, we mostly listen to the fact that what we are doing with the parking spots, we wouldn't mind listening a bit more towards let's have a few more trees.
Okay, so a few things that I would like to address. So regarding the gentrification and the displacement, you already mentioned social housing, but I want to emphasize that I think our main weapon against gentrification is our social housing policy, and we are putting a lot of energy into keeping municipal housing affordable to people and making them accessible to as many people as possible, because that's the only thing we have control over. We don't have control over the private market, so the only place where we can make sure that people are not displaced is with our own housing, and this municipality has the most public housing, the most social housing units in Budapest, so we still are in a good position to do that. So we are renovating and as you said, like trying to make as many social housing units accessible. But I also want to say that we created a new social assistance system, which makes financial assistance available to more people than ever before. And we introduced housing assistance, which doesn't really exist anywhere else, because the national government eliminated housing assistance in 2015, I think, and now we reintroduced it. So people, no matter where you live, if you live in private housing or rental housing or municipal housing, you can apply for housing assistance, which makes housing more affordable. And there is also a lot of different forms of social support for people, for children, for families, for people with disabilities. So what we are trying to do is we have redistributive mechanisms to make money available to people who don't have money otherwise. And also when in terms of because somebody mentioned that with all these community things, it's also a force of gentrification. In our office, the Office of Community Participation, we identified certain groups of people who we think are really, really important to include in our participatory processes. And these people include people living in poverty and people living in social housing. So we do special programs for them. Foreigners are also a special group, like you are, people with disabilities, women, Roma people. We have a community organizer whose job is to organize Roma people in the community. So we are trying to use public resources to support people who are otherwise disadvantaged in our society. And I wanted to address the question about the trust. Yes, I think like it's really, really low, the trust in local government, in this district especially. So if you go to the second district, about 65% of the people vote in the local elections. In this district, 35% of the people vote. So it means that 1/3 of people here are interested in who the mayor is, which means that they have very little trust in the local government, no matter who the mayor is. So it's regardless of the party or anything. And one of the roles of our office is exactly to challenge this trend or to change this trend, to make sure that people actually know that there is a local government and that they know what the local government is doing and that they trust the local government. And I think for that, the local government has to make 1,000,000 times more efforts than ever before to reach out to people. And for example, Donnie knows this very well, if a politician promises something, we hunt them down until they keep the promise.
So careful what you make me say.
And he knows, like every Monday, basically, I tell him, you promised this and this and this at the community event, what's happening, what's happening, what's happening. So we have to build mechanisms inside the municipality to make politicians and decision makers accountable. And our tool for that is community participation, because we believe that it's not going to be the bureaucrats who hold politicians responsible, but it's going to be the people who organize themselves. So basically we are trying to empower local residents to hold people like him accountable, and other people. So that's one thing we do. And how to include non-Hungarians in community things. I think that's why we created the booklet, the English booklet, because there we actually listed all the community gardens and all the community composting things and all the websites where you can find the community events. So I think the number one barrier is language and lack of information. So now that's what we are going to focus on. And there was actually a participatory action research done by this place, Mira, Artemissio, this intercultural space. Immigrants living in Hungary made research about what are the barriers to integration, and their main finding was lack of information. So basically, I know it sounds very, oh yeah, okay, whatever, yeah, everybody knew that. Yeah, everybody knew that, but nobody did anything. So now what we are trying to do is actually make information available to you all. And then I think if foreigners have information, then they will start coming to the municipality, and then we will figure out what else we can do, because we have very little contact with foreigners. So it's not only you who has little contact with us, but it's the other way around too. And healthcare, I think it's a very general question, so I'm not sure what you are exactly asking about, but what I want to say about this is that the local municipality is responsible for a very small part of the healthcare system in Hungary. So we don't have any power over what's happening in hospitals. The only two things we have power over is the family doctors, the general practitioners, házi orvos, who are designated according to your address if you have a TB kártya. So if you have social security, I guess it's called, and the local healthcare clinic in Aurora utca. And those are the two things. And I tried to make a survey in our institutions of the municipality, asking them what percentage of their clients are foreigners. And for example, in Józsefváros, around 10 to 20% of the people living here are foreigners, but only 1% of the people who use the healthcare center are foreigners. So to me, this means that there is a problem. That for some reason, foreigners are not using our healthcare system, even the basic healthcare system. So one reason could be that they don't have social security, so they need to use private healthcare. But my other guess is that there is a language problem and there is an information problem, that you can actually go there if you have an address and if you have social security. So if you work here, you have the right to use our local healthcare system. And I included some information in the booklet for you, but if you have a more specific critique or comment, I would be really happy to hear it, because I think we get a lot of feedback about our local healthcare system from residents, and some of that feedback is not very good. But it would be interesting to hear what foreigners are experiencing. But I know that language is a problem in the health clinic. I know that, and I think it will be a next step to start to make sure that at least the people at the reception speak English, and that then they can refer people to the right doctors, and to make sure that at least one doctor in every area speaks English. So, but this is a work ahead of us. We haven't started it yet. So I'm just saying that we are aware of the problem. Even from the numbers, I can tell that there is a problem of access.
Do you also want to add something to it? Okay. So let's hear the next three questions. Or comments, or suggestions, or demands. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Where?
Just yes.
EOHD. Thank you. My name is Costel. I'm also from Manchester. I've been coming to Budapest since 2017. Happily married to a woman who, by amazing good fortune, lives in this fabulous district. I can't believe how terrific a meeting it is that's assembled here, detailing your aspirations, what's already been done, the approach, little by little. And even in my time here, now getting up 6 or so years, I've seen buildings improved with some wonderful renovations. I've seen parks coming alive. I love composting, so it's ticking so many boxes. I was glad to hear that some of the questions earlier involved cycling from the gentleman in front of me, so I sympathise with that very much. On the matter of gentrification, which popped up, I didn't think about this. I think you said that the housing isn't in charge of, it's at national level legislation or something about housing, your powers. But I wondered what there is at kind of local level regarding the topic that's not come up, like Airbnb. I just mention this because housing is such a problem around in every big city around the world. It displaces local people, students, and this is a fantastic university area, Budapest. And what came to mind was that I heard someone who had been to an Airbnb meeting say that someone had complained that out of the 9 properties that they had, I don't know if they're houses or apartments, they'd only been able to rent 4 of them out over the previous 6 months because post-COVID and so and so. So my specific question, after this rambling meander, is do you at local level have a sort of a record of lettings for Airbnb, that sort of thing? Not necessarily to stop it, because it's been a great thing in many ways, but sometimes problems arise of all sorts. End of question. Thank you.
We had another question here in the front. Yeah. Okay.
There were 2 here.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Francis. Actually, I live in Budapest, specifically 8th district for 8 years. Then I speak little Hungarian language. My question is about Nepsinas Ukta. It has a bad narrative. I live in Nepsinas Ukta for like 4 years, and I say, what can the municipality like do to like people, even the foreigners and the Hungarians, to know that, oh, this street particularly, like, is not bad as people see it. Because once I invited my friend when I was living in Nepsina Sukta to come say hello to me, my new apartment, said no, he's not coming because it's a bad street and all of that. So my question is, I want the municipality to like do something for people, or I don't know, so that they can see that it's not as bad as what people say. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another question. Sorry. Okay, next. No, it's coming to you because you were the first actually who. No, come on.
Okay, yeah. My question is very simple. First of all, I've seen that you take care about foreigner. This is very important because this meeting is proven that you are taking care about us. To the other side, I'm wondering about a simple question. How can I help you in reality to you? Can I come to you to do something? And so on. Even I have time, because I have not plenty of time, at time 1 day per every month, 2 days per month I can help you. And what can I do in reality to support the community and to bring value to you? Because now a lot of questions come like dam broken, I come water to you, but to the other side you need any support to do something, especially for really foreigner that can give you ideas, have a small brainstorming with you. So it after to deploy the idea and to go to the ground and to live and to reach the final point. This is my goal and my question to you, how I can help you.
Thank you. Just a minute before. Can I ask you to come a bit forward because we have so many people coming in. Yeah, we just need more space. No more presents. And we can also, yeah. Chairs, yes. Yes. Yes, yes. Come. You can also move a bit. This is amazing, by the way, that we have so many people coming that we don't fit in. So a big applause for you guys. Okay, so now let's hear the answers. Okay. So first question was on Airbnb policy.
Well, first it was on housing, because
Housing,
I want to
yeah.
make it clear. So the national government in Hungary doesn't have a housing policy. The only housing policy the national government has is to support private ownership. So you can get money from the Hungarian government to buy a home, but nothing else. So what the local government is trying to do, because poor people cannot buy homes, they can only rent. So what the local government can do is to maintain its own housing. So Józsefváros, this municipality, has around 5,000 housing units which are publicly owned. And this is our tool to make sure that we rent these housing units to people who don't have a lot of money for a very low rent, which means that they can live an okay life because they don't spend their whole money on rent. So our municipality has a very strong social housing policy. We don't want to make money from housing, and we don't want people to own housing, but we want to provide housing to people for cheap. So this is all the powers we have. So we don't have the power to regulate rents, or we don't have the power to, I don't know, like nationalize apartments or things like this. The only thing is that we have to keep our own housing stock, and we have to make that housing stock available to people for cheap. So that's the only power we have, I think. And that's what we are trying to do. The previous local governments, they were trying to sell the housing of the municipality. We are trying to keep it. So this is a political difference. It's a fact. Okay, about Airbnb, you will address Airbnb, but I will, and then you will also address Népszínház utca, I think, what to do with the bad reputation, and the how can I help you part. I would like to call on two of my colleagues here, and one of them is Fanny. It's the how can I help you question. So maybe you can explain how people can help in the participatory budgeting.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so how you can help with participatory budgeting? First of all, participate. So if you have an idea, if you see a problem, you have a solution for it, then submit your ideas, maybe here on paper or by the website you register. And there is also inbuilt Google Translation, so you can also submit your ideas through the website. So this is one. And also, which is very important, that we create a lot of events and processes, and we probably, if you walk around the district, you will see a lot of flyers and posters, and we are all over the place. It's really hard to hear that if one process is more important than the others, and I won't say that all the others are all important, but participatory budgeting is the biggest skill right now ongoing in the district. So if you want to volunteer for helping us to make more noise in the district, then we would love to have you. Vera is actually our volunteer coordinator, so if you write an email to this email address that Tessa is showing you, and you say, I want to volunteer for you, then Vera will call you in a minute and and recruit you professionally, and you will have you will come and visit one of our volunteer meetings, and you will see if you're up to the challenge, if you see what tasks are there. Maybe if you are interested, you can ask after the forum more about it. I wouldn't say that you can take part in all of the steps of the participatory budgeting, because of course there is also existing language barriers. So for example, all of the submitting ideas will be overviewed by a local work group, and it's all in Hungarian, because we can't provide translation for every member of this working group, but you can take part in the voting process again in April. So thank you very much and looking forward to it.
Yes, so it's a very special thing about our municipality that you can volunteer with us. Very, very few municipalities have volunteer programs. We do. So if you are interested in volunteering, please contact us. And now we are lucky because our volunteer coordinator speaks very good English. So it's a new thing, and I'm very happy about it. And now I will switch to just one sentence in Hungarian. A hírtévés kollégákat szeretném emlékeztetni arra, hogy megkértük, hogy csak minket vegyenek, és úgy látjuk, hogy veszik a közönséget is, úgyhogy arra szeretném kérni, hogy fejezzék be akkor itt a felvételeket. Köszönjük szépen, viszontlátásra. I just asked the TV people to stop filming you guys, because we agreed that they will only film us, and they didn't keep that promise. So I asked them to leave. And I will give the mic to Dani.
Just one small sentence back to the last question. So with all these processes, you actually can volunteer as well. And since we were talking about strong communities, one thing that I would like to sort of motivate everyone to is to actually just speak with your neighbors, local surroundings, shops, all small communities that you are aware of these opportunities and all these initiatives, and we would love to have more foreign residents attend some of these events, neighborhood parties, and all these different moments. So please feel free to. Yep. In terms of Airbnb, that's the trickiest topic probably that we've been facing this whole term. When we already came, for example, in the Palotanegyed Palace Quarter, Airbnb pretty much destroyed the majority of the housing communities. For example, when you are campaigning, that's a very painful feedback to receive. And what was actually even more painful, that when I showed you some images about Bacsa Béla streets and this open street of Bacsa utca, we made a very strong door-to-door campaign when we did the consultation of the street adjustment, and we realized that all these processes, and for example the displacement and the gentrification processes, were already so much outside of the Palace district as well. Then the COVID effects were clear. Tourism was obviously relatively non-existent. Now the industry is back. Obviously, it's not helping the housing issue. In the meanwhile, we haven't really seen a kind of coordinated move from the whole municipality, so all the different districts that are involved in this. And it's very tricky to make an adjustment just by one district alone. Our legislation in the topic is the strongest within the municipality of Budapest. The problem is that it's obviously not strong enough to facilitate everyday usual residence and renting, aside of these short-term rents. I don't want to make a promise that that comes back to me on next Monday. Yeah, imagine if I promise a bike lane for the next year, I will be listening to it every single Monday. Where's the bike lane? And that's about the time it would take. All in all, it's a very tricky topic. We looked for all different scenarios. The problem is that sometimes these are companies now that actually that are cater for families and give a living for families. And it's just like we didn't really make that one step because the government basically gave two choices for the municipalities. You either abolish it completely. Yeah, for right now I'm talking about Airbnb particularly, or booking kind of apartments and all that short-term rentals. You either abolish it completely, or you kind of have this semi-liberal process going. Honestly, it's just super tricky that we haven't made a decision on with all the different aspects existing. I'm very angry with the whole governmental public housing scheme. As Tessa mentioned as well, for example, the district municipalities are the closest to poor people and people with different disadvantages. In the meanwhile, we are the most powerless as well to help all these situations. We know exactly how many Airbnb apartments are. Of course, there are a couple that operate a bit more in the shade, so that's trickier. But we are fairly aware of the genuine situation. It's more that we just no municipality has made these striking decisions yet.
We still have some questions. So
I know it's not a satisfying answer. I'm not satisfied about our performance either. None of us, Tessa particularly not. This is where we are right now. I don't want to make any kind of illusion that in the next week it's just all better. Unfortunately, all the forecasts they don't really prove either that once this problem happens, we can just repopulate the inner parts of the city with affordable housing anyway. But we keep going.
Okay, we still have a question.
Népszínház utca. Thanks. This is a question that have not popped up the last few years, and I'm actually it's my hobby. I attend every single of these public forums, and it's my hobby to collect the new questions, and I'm glad that they pop up. For example, one of the things we do is these small interventions. For example, in the junctions, so to make this is a more livable story all around. We didn't make like a Népszínház utca marketing campaign, for instance, because, for example, that would also lead towards the gentrifying processes and getting all new eyes on the street that we might not as well want to see that much. In the meanwhile, every single time this question pops up, we are constantly like, yeah, all these numbers are not right. In terms of safety or all these questions, Népszínház utca is as good as any other in Budapest. So we do stress that, but we don't make a campaign on it, particularly, for example, in my perspective, or that I wouldn't want to make a campaign myself, because that would take away potentially a lot of the possibilities and, for example, smaller rents that many people can afford either in apartments or these shops as well. There's a new community center in Köme, next to Nagyforras utca. Their goal, I don't know if they might be represented here. One of their main goals is to discuss much more with the local stakeholders, people, residents, and to make a different look on the street. And also this is important for us, but by the locals and by what's happening already there. So there are incredible and actually affordable opportunities for food, for drinks, for different services, for shops. I myself, I'm a fan of many shops in Népszínház utca. And it's crazy important to protect these. And by making it a huge marketing campaign that, hey, look how great Népszínház utca is, that would be very tricky in the near future. So it's a very delicate issue, and there's no in the general global global processes, there's no particular good or bad process. It's just like taking these steps that we feel that help for now. We'll see in the future.
I just want to clarify because I'm not sure if it's clear. So if we start to advertise that Népszínház utca is a great place, the rents will go up, which means that the current residents, commercial and residential, will soon leave. So that's why he's saying that it's tricky, that if you start to advertise it, then the current culture will get lost. So that's why we are trying to do just very small things to improve the street, but not make it into a huge big thing, because then it will all the immigrants will probably be forced out, all the small old shops will leave. So that's why we are trying to protect it but improve it, and that's why we are not going to make a huge campaign or anything about it. But we love it. We love Népszínház utca. So and I think people who follow the work of our municipality know that we love Népszínház utca. And there is actually I just looked at him. So Erős Gábor is can you raise your hand? He's the local representative for Népszínház utca. So he's the elected representative of Népszínház utca. So if you want to talk to him about the advertising Népszínház utca, you can talk to him.
Yeah, which, for the record, neither of us are elected representatives.
We are not
for the record. Yeah, but for instance, we are putting a lot more funds, and the Népszínház utca was supposed to be cleaned by the municipality of Budapest. And for example, we took over many days of the cleaning. So we clean more. So for example, if your friends come, they will have an experience. Hey, you know what? This is not so bad, so I will come next time as well. This is how we would like to sort of, for now, we would like to advertise Népszínház utca, that by your people coming over, they find a whole different experience than what they would expect beforehand. Let's go for more questions.
Okay, so next questions. Okay. 1, 2. Just a minute, because he has been. Yeah. Do we still have more questions? Because I saw 2 hands. Okay, there. Okay.
Hi, my name is Anil. Sorry about that. Well, do you have some kind of a buddy program? Because we have, I guess, volunteers there, or people who wants to volunteer. So kind of a buddy program may help us to kind of adapt more quickly. So kind of pairing people who needs help and people who wants to help. Because like when you come here, you don't know how to deal with the public administration, or like you don't know the healthcare, you don't know the schools or parking, even the parking lots, how you anything, I don't know. You mentioned lots of things. So how can you get help, or how can you? So if you have a kind of a buddy program, it will be kind of I don't know. Do you think something like that also in the future?
Yeah. Okay. Another one. We had one here. Sorry. Just a minute. Just a minute. In the first row, we have. Can we have the mic, please?
Azt mondja Viktor, hogy az elől használjátok. Azt mondja, hogy
igen. Yes, we're listening.
This is only a suggestion. I tried to download the app from my phone, and since my phone is not from Hungary, I received a message that is not available in my country. This is a little bit tricky. I had in many other application. So if you can open the possibility.
We noted it. Tuesday.
Hello. I have a very practical question. Since someone brought up cycling, I wonder how, I'm not familiar with the legal framework, like for example with Rákóczi út, since part of it is not in Józsefváros anymore, how would it work to, for example, like to introduce a biking lane, or at least somewhere not to get bullied when you cycle, just something. But how would it work? Would it have to just stop after Blaha, or would it be like, I don't know, like I genuinely sound, I don't know how it works and I wouldn't know how to. So if you know, it'd be interesting.
Okay. So the first thing is where can you get help? So first I will answer and then I will ask Bulchu to answer. So we have the municipality has a customer service where they speak English. So you can actually contact the municipality and somebody speaking English will help you with the administrative stuff, like where to get a permit or where to get social support or what's happening with parking or things like this. So that's the municipality part of it, and then I will ask Bulchu, who is coming from the Menedék Association, to give you a short overview of how they can help you.
Hello everybody, I'm really grateful to hear. So we are a little NGO, Menedék Association for Migrants, and we are not far from the A district. This is O Street 39, and this is near the Octagon. I think everybody, even if from foreign people, even if you are a refugee or migrants, you have the right, the local government, social services, but maybe they are not as speak well in English and not as speak well in Dari or Nigerian. So we have got the possibility to hire a translator if you need this, because everybody can speak in own languages, and our social services are migrant specific. So we are an NGO. Our mission is to connect with the local social services, because we believe in integration, but we can offer you some special services. And you should ask an appointment, because we are not client-based, we are partner-based. So you have to ask an appointment, the social worker, Menedék Menedék.hu. That's if you put the Google Menedék, you will find it. And we are near the Octagon. That's this really short time you will get an appointment, and you need to say which language you can offer. That's all.
And I can put your website in the Facebook event of this forum. So afterwards I can post it there, and then I can post a lot of the things, but it's also in the booklet. I don't know if you were here, but it's somewhere at the end of the booklet where Menedék is listed too as the contact. And then the Smart City app, thank you so much, because I know foreigners living in Józsefváros who have managed to download the app, but that means that they have a Hungarian phone. So the problem is with the phones that are registered abroad. So thank you very much. Noted. Now you can hunt me down to fix this. And the cycling.
Just no worry about the microphone. You want to see a new bike lane on the avenue? That was the question. Or just cycle safer in general? Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, well, okay, I will be blunt, direct. Krakow is out of all of our hands, as well, completely. It's like this, sacred cow of the city, where the highway is the highway. So, in Budapest, to be frank, if I were you, I would consider this all crazy, like all these levels and this. Why are we even in this district meeting? Most of other cities in Europe, they don't have this level, or at least definitely not onto such an important level. So practically every single road in the city is primarily governed and regulated by the municipality. They give permits also for us, Budapest, so the region, 23 districts. So, if in this street residents complain that there's way too much traffic passing through, so figure it out. They come to us, because of course the municipality don't want to get down to this level. They come to us. Then we think the people are right and we should do something. So then we start making designs and schemes of changes. So for example, this road, the traffic mitigation of the area and the different plans that you can see outside. So we have them designed by the transport planners, and we take them, or the planners themselves take them to permits within the municipality. So practically the municipality permits the district to make a change on the street. Now, there are some of these roads, like Rákóczi, Baros utca as well actually, Üllői út, so the main borders of the district, like Fiumei út, Orci út, the bigger avenues. They are all completely maintained by the municipality.
Which municipality?
Of Budapest. Sorry, yeah, I always consider us the district. I try to refer to ourselves as district. The municipality is Budapest. In my terminology, but I admit that's confusing, and I'm sorry for that.
So Budapest is responsible for bigger roads. Józsefváros is responsible for smaller roads.
And what you can also consider, and that's a very important, interesting aspect. So I try to avoid you with this information since you came here. Every road where there's a public transport, bus, trolley, tram, whatever aspect, that's maintained by the municipality, regardless of who's the owner of Budapest. I might as well improve on the go. So some of the smaller streets that have a bus, we own it, but then it's maintained by the municipality of Budapest. That's why in Népszínház utca, for example, we had to take over some of the cleaning because it was supposed to be done by Budapest. Now, Rákóczi út is fully Budapest, inside out, 100% from wall to wall. They clean it, they organize the traffic flows, everything. If we want to make a bike lane there, and that's always on the agenda, not just the bike lane itself, the whole humanization of that madness. It was actually a pretty active topic in the beginning of this term when we were discussing to have a bus lane in the middle and then reducing the car lanes overall. Well, that didn't turn out, both financially and to be frank, I think politically as well. The municipality of Budapest decision-making governing body did never make a decision on making it a different story. And to be frank, right now, we are also much more busy on making sure that all these smaller streets and, for example, parallel streets of Rákóczi are as bikeable as possible. Because we know that to reach Rákóczi út eventually, that's still like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So I'm not being very optimistic on that. And this is how this city is working, which is not very easy to understand. For example, in the Nagykörút bike lane, in 2020, all the districts, district municipalities, got together, pushing the municipality of Budapest to make that bike lane. And eventually they did, and they protected it against all these political storms against it. And it's not a great bike lane. Personally, I don't really like it. I cycle every day the whole year. That's my main way of travel. And that's where we are right now. I think in Budapest, the cycling interventions of the last few years were exemplary compared to the previous few years. But in terms of safe infrastructure for everyone, truly inclusive infrastructure for families, for children, for less experienced bikers, we are nowhere near yet. And please push the agenda, and please hold us accountable.
So I think 3 things: ride your bike on the parallel streets, the smaller streets. That's what everybody's doing. The second one is, and you didn't say this, but the municipality of Budapest also has a participatory budgeting process. So if you want to change things at the Budapest level, you can actually submit ideas at the Budapest level. I think they are closed now with getting the ideas, but next year, they are doing it every year, you can actually propose it and a lot of people will vote for it, I will tell you. And the third is that there are bicycle advocacy is really, really strong in Budapest. So there are many organizations, activist organizations, who are pushing all of the municipalities for better bike infrastructure. And one of them is Kerékpáros Klub, the Hungarian cyclist club. And they are a very strong cycling advocacy organization, so you can join them. I think they will be very happy.
Don't worry, I entered all bicycle lanes in the participatory budget for Budapest. So you only need to vote for that.
Okay. So next 3 questions. We had one question here, I know. Anyone else? Suggestions, demands? There, okay. And there, okay. So we're gonna start with you. Can you please give the mic here?
Fine, fine. I'm not used to use the microphone with my voice only. Sorry, this question, but I take suggestion what you told about B&B. B&B is change completely the scenario and of the life, because when a flat is rented, people take care about the flat. Instead of I'm seeing, because since I'm living here since 2012, it's a long time, the behavior changed completely. The people B&B is have a bad behavior. They threw away everything. I see garbage everywhere. My consideration about that conclusion is possible to put some municipality in other country put additional tax or rent a short term in order to prevent the cost for the community, because they had to do a double job, because they threw away in the sidewalk whatever they want. They put the garbage, plenty of garbage in the middle of the street without taking care of what is going on after, because they don't live anymore here for 3 days after ciao, as they say. This is what my suggestion to do in order to do a trade-off between the cost for the community, because the cost of community anyhow, and the business that somebody has to do anyhow.
Next question there at the back.
Sorry, there I am again. I have a bunch of questions.
That's good.
Sorry. Okay, first, because you said that we can vote, which is nice. What are your plans regarding involving everyone in the voting, so also including non-Hungarian speakers? As in, because you mentioned something, you're working a lot on improving that. What are the concrete ideas? Are they already there? Is there maybe space for some participatory thing there as well, like involving people to reach out to their own communities like that? Then, yes, you also mentioned things where, I don't know what it's, am I missed? Doesn't matter? Okay. But you said, there's some things that you're also pushing for with the more central government and the municipality of Budapest, for which you could also use the help of the people, of course. In what ways would there be some type of, is that already going on, or is there some possibility of collaboration between the district government and the people within the district to push for more like central things? So also, I mean, generally my experience here is that people don't very quickly move to the streets for things, but say for protests and things like that, is there some ways that the district could support which is still within their legal bounds? You know what I mean? I don't know maybe about people's rights, things like that. I don't know if there's some type of collaboration that from your position would work. Just general brain thought. And then I had one more thing. Yeah, that was just a practical question. I was wondering, do all district municipalities have equal funds, or does it depend per district? That's it.
Sorry, can you please just specify your second question, because we are not sure that we... The second one.
Group, organization,
yes.
Activation.
I am not so sure about my question yet. either. I am also still thinking about it. Now, I was just wondering, just small bits of what you were saying. I got the idea that you're saying, okay, we need the people as well to sort of push for certain initiatives, you know? So I was wondering, is there some type, is that already going on, or is there some way that the district municipality and the people can collaborate to push more central initiatives that are above you, kind of above your heads, like out of your hands? Is there some way that we can collaborate like that? That was my, I hope, it's a really broad, abstract question. I don't have it specified yet either.
Okay, and the third question here.
So, first of all, just it's been wonderful over the last couple of years seeing these changes, the improvement in mobility, the changes in the sidewalk so that it flows better. It's made going through the community a lot easier. And with healthcare, the receptionists at the place, they're great. They really do make a good effort, and the doctors as well. So it's really great. Couple of questions. One, I stay in a building which is not in the greatest condition, as I think a lot of us can say. Our building management doesn't have the finances or the will to change things. What could we do? I've spoken to my neighbors, we're keen to make some changes. Is there a route to get funding to improve that? We're actually next to a building which was renovated and looks really nice, which makes us look worse by comparison. So just wondering about access to something like that. And perhaps we as a community can put in the work as well, or I don't know how that works. Secondly is I am part of a local church here, and obviously we want to be able to reach out and provide services to encourage and help people. How can we best reach out and put out calls to people? What is kind of permitted and not permitted? Because there's a lot of limitations, as I understand it, on public posting of information and things like that. So do we have community boards that I haven't seen, or I don't know, those kind of questions. Then the third one is these changes to the streets have been great. All the residents in the streets have been notified that there would be changes. Have there been public displays or notices ahead of time? I'm thinking, I don't know the road name, but it changed direction from one way to the other way, and people still go up the wrong way despite the big red signs. Has that been notified ahead of time graphically so it's more accessible to a wider range of people? And what could be done to make that even more noticeable? Maybe like flashing lights for a 6-month period or something? Yeah, cool, thanks.
Yeah, again. So, yeah, Airbnb.
Airbnb tax?
Yes.
Yeah, unfortunately, taxing is regulated by law, so the highest national level. And practically, if they don't particularly allow us to make a local tax on any particular topic, we are not able to. We are not allowed to. And this question popped up for us for a long time in the beginning, and none of the occasions we could figure a solution for that. So unfortunately, right now we can't actually make an extra tax. There are a couple of extra surcharges over these activities, but not like a dedicated any dedicated tax on that, which is actually a shame, because that would make a pretty huge comparison. I think within the houses, within the building, there are a couple of possibilities that you can make sort of a slightly higher közös költség, shared fee, I think, but that's common expenses. So little possibilities are there, but that, for example, heavily depending on the közös képviselő. What you actually mentioned, the housing manager. And the problem is, if the housing manager is not good enough, now that's a really huge burden on the house. So I would suggest to get rid of them as soon as possible. Honestly, that's it. So Tessa is saying that the buildings can ban Airbnb. But the problem is that Airbnb sometimes usually already have like a voting power that usually just doesn't happen. So we all know how efficient these votings are, but we would encourage you to push as far as possible within the actual housing communities. So, the how the municipality facilitate. First of all, well, during the elections, it's of course it's the responsibility of the electorates to make sure that they can reach as many foreigners as possible. In terms of the the municipality doesn't involve, because we are a public authority who represents everyone. So obviously a municipality cannot take a political side. Once there's a common affair, and in this aspect I can actually quote the direct example of the Paz mine development. I don't know if how many of you are aware of that. In the Palace Quarter there's a huge university development where there's a huge clash between the developers, which is actually the Hungarian state, and the residents. And for example, then the mayor, the local council person can of course take the stand of the people against the state. Our consequent standing point of the last few years have been constantly that we want to have an open consultation for the residents around, so that everybody can raise their voice and to be heard. It hasn't happened, so that's an issue. But this is the way, for example, the municipality. So in terms of common affairs, of course, can take a stand. For example, we offered our resources to help implement this consultation, which they didn't actually want to hear about or accept. So right now we are still in a standoff, and actually we are in a legal standoff as well, because both parties, they make a new law taking away our rights, and then we start like tiny little local laws that delay the process a little bit. Tomorrow there will be a council meeting, particularly on this topic, because we right now have a huge legal clash with the government. So I mean, it's gonna be in Hungarian, and even for Hungarians, it will be pretty tough to follow and listen to. But these are small, very local issues where these different levels and scales can clash and meet each other. I hope I more or less answered your question. Maybe you can please form it. Feel free to form it again, because maybe we misunderstood it as well. How the municipality can help galvanize people and involve people in state and legal and state issues. That's how we understood it. Okay, no worries. In a sec.
I was also unsure. It sounds so aggressive when I hear my own voice in my ear, but yeah, I also couldn't fully imagine yet in which way you would be able to help, of course, because that needs to be within that structure. So there's, of course, limits in how you can push for certain initiatives. But I'm also talking about like broader issues that the entire city has, or maybe an issue that's going on in the country in general, which you as a district municipality can't change. And that's where I was thinking, okay, maybe there is some way to bring the people and the district municipality together to push for the same initiative. But I I'm not clear yet on how to do this either. Because like you say, then it needs to be within this framework, of course. And then, you also get a specific population. I guess I will come back to it another time.
Yeah, I want to say a few things about that. So the Office of Community Participation, it's part of our mission to help local residents to organize and to create their own communities. So a lot of people come to us for advice, like, we need to solve this as a community. How do you think we should start? So we then give them advice about, you should go to that office, or you should contact that person, or we will connect you to another organization. So we help grassroots organizing, because I think it's a service of the municipality to help grassroots organizing. But for example, in larger political issues like this university development, it's possible that there's a local community that is against, for example, a big development, and the municipality is against the local development, and then they can cooperate in certain ways. But that's a more political issue, so it's more, you know, like it's not a service of the municipality to help with this, but it's a kind of alliance of different interests against another interest. But a lot of our elected representatives, like the deputy mayor, the elected representatives, they have meetings with local organizations, with unions, with different people who need different things, and they are trying to push the politicians to do something, and then the politicians decide if they are going to do it or not, you know. So it's part of the advocacy effort of organizations, that they are trying to push the municipality to different directions, and then the municipality decides what it will support and what it will not support. And I just want to say that the mayor of this district is sitting in the assembly of Budapest. So each district is represented at the level of Budapest too. So for example, our mayor, András Picó is his name, he is sitting in the Budapest municipality representing the 8 districts. So when there are debates about things, he represents the interests of this district. And how does he know what the interest of this district is? From you, if you write him an email, or if you go to an office hours and meet him. So that's how it works, that the mayor and the deputy mayor need to hear from the people, and then they can go and represent the people. And then the Office of Community Participation is there to help people organize themselves, not to work, not the political aspect, but the grassroots aspect. And about the voting, so it's very important that the local municipality can't encourage anybody to vote or do anything. It's a very official thing. We have to be completely non-partisan, so we can't encourage you to vote, we can't tell you to do something, we can only give you information about the very formal information. But it's important that the National Election Office has an English website, so all the information available to Hungarian voters is available in English, and I think maybe German and Spanish too. So it's called választás.hu. I can also post it in the Facebook page. So we can only work with official information, and you will get the same information as the Hungarians. There is no difference. Do all municipalities have equal funds? No. The municipalities get some money from the central government based on their population, and then the municipalities have their own income from, for example, local taxes. So they get central money from the central government, local taxes, and then some municipalities have business activities like renting out spaces. Like even in your booklet you can find, we have a management company in our municipality that rents out like venues, spaces of the local government if you want to run a business or something. So these are the 3 kinds of income that a municipality has. Sorry? Parking, yes. And there is also the fees, like you pay, but it's part of the kind of tax thing that people pay for certain things. But yes, for parking, like people pay for parking, so then we use it to renovate streets. So yes, not all municipalities have the same money, and there are a lot of very poor municipalities and a lot of very rich municipalities, and it doesn't necessarily depend on how rich their residents are. It's for example, there is a famous municipality, Budaörs. They have a lot of shopping malls, like there is Ocean and Tesco and whatever, like Decathlon and these kinds of things, like an entire row of malls, and they are really rich because the tax coming from these big shopping malls is really high. Józsefváros doesn't really have that kind of money. So municipalities are very different in terms of their money. And I just wanted to say that for the building, like renovation and things like this, yes, we have this municipality has a lot of grants to buildings for renovations, like small grants, bigger grants, and it's the building, the társasház, that can apply for the grant, and it's on our website. And again, it's supposed to be the building manager who knows about these grants and who encourages, who brings together the assembly of the building, and then they can vote to to apply. And if you have a problem with the building manager, you are not alone. Everybody in this district has a problem with their building manager. You too? Yeah. So it's best to look at the website of the municipality. There is a card, like there's a menu, like whatever, like a part called pályázatok, grants, and there we list all the grants that are available to buildings specifically. And then local church, how can, you are interested in channels of communication that you can use to tell people about your programs and things like that, like if you can put up posters and things like this. And yes, you can put up posters, for example, on the fences of kindergartens, of dog runs. Feel free to put up your posters. Just make sure to take them down, because that's the bigger problem, that people then leave it there and then there's a million posters and then we have to remove it, which is not very nice. And also we have a list of all the Facebook groups in this district, and we can give that to you. It's a public list, so we have a lot of information available to civil society organizations, but also to churches about the different communities that are here in the district. So you can contact us and we will give you information.
And you can also contact me, because I am responsible for the neighborhood fest. So if you want to have like a bigger program, reach out to me.
And I will give the mic to Donny about why don't people get information about traffic changes and renovations ahead of time.
I would like to go around with the answer by saying that my personal biggest ambition would be if we were given the chance to continue after June, is to significantly improve the communication part of all these development processes. For now, one of the tricky things is, because I think sometimes the communication is right and sometimes definitely not, so I don't even want to defend ourselves for a second. I don't know what was the exact case in this one. Sometimes it happens that it's such a complex structure until we get to the actual implementation, even in the very last phase. So many stakeholders can be involved that to properly start communicating well in advance, there's so much potential change by the time it actually happens that the project managers don't dare to actually facilitate communication, because they're afraid that whatever we communicate, say 1st of September, will be completely different by that 1st of November by the time we actually start. Now, I'm just saying this is a symptom. So I'm not saying we shouldn't cure this problem, but for now we are trying to figure different solutions for the same problem, and sometimes we kind of hit the spot, sometimes we completely miss it. And the problem is that when we miss it, that's a huge problem. That's mayhem. And we've been facing that quite some times, and unfortunately right now we are facing one as well in Lujza, which we are actually managing these days as well. Like how to make sure that all information is proper and when it starts, for example, in terms of parking and the garage accessibility. In the meanwhile, there's a contract of the contractor, so the builders, and dates coming in. So it's a fairly tricky situation, but for sure, the next time we have to encounter these much better and plan for these much better. That's actually one thing that we have to improve in the next term.
Okay, so because we are running out of time, we are not going to have more questions, but I'm sorry. But feel free to come to us individually after the end of the official gathering. And so if you have any questions still, or you didn't have the chance to everything, you can also write to us in this email address. And also please do your homework with the booklets, and please tell us your suggestions about it, either now, or you can also write the same address. I would like to also note that we have the participatory budgeting. So we have some forms here. If you want to have some ideas to put down, you can do it. We have volunteers here who could help with that. And also at the back, we have flyers about all the things that we are doing. So please take one And if you have questions about it, you can ask us now, or again, write to us on these platforms. You can also write to us on Instagram and Facebook and everywhere, but email is the best. Okay, and thank you so much for coming. It was like really nice to meet you, and let's hope that we're gonna meet again, because this was I can say this was a first and a great success. So thanks for participating.